I read Reddit stories. Story 1. Am I the villain for naming my son a different name than I agreed with his father? I, 25-year-old female, recently gave birth to my first child, a beautiful boy. I got pregnant by my ex-husband, who cheated on me during my pregnancy and blamed me for withholding intimacy from him. I was 6 months pregnant at the time, but I moved out of his house and moved in with my mother. During those 6 months, we discussed different names we could give our son. I wanted to name him Dave, my dead father's name, but my husband insisted in naming him Joshua, his name, but with Junior after it. I agreed as I didn't want to argue and was going to name him that. But when I went to talk to my ex husband, he was saying he wanted his new girlfriend to take an active role in our son's life. I was very angry, and to make matters worse, he showed that he had a tattoo written Joshua Jr. and the date on which the delivery was scheduled. I got mad at him and went back and named my son Dave and rescheduled the day of delivery. When he found out, he yelled at me, called me a villain, and said I was a bee for doing something so ridiculous to him. Now I'm thinking to myself, am I the villain? Well, no, I don't think you're necessarily the villain. I mean, one thing that I think should be addressed is that you did promise him, even though you felt you didn't want to name him Joshua Jr. or JJ, you wanted to name him Dave after your father. You didn't voice that opinion, and I don't know if you did or you didn't, but it seems like you didn't, and then you promised to name your son Joshua. So that's something you said you would do, but you essentially you lied. So I don't think that makes you a villain, but it's definitely not it wasn't right of you to lie. But other than that, I think the husband, your ex-husband is definitely the villain. I mean, he cheated on you, and um it's kind of it's complicated with regards to wanting the girlfriend to be an active part in the son's life, in your son's life. Because yes, he cheated on you and that's completely wrong, but uh I don't know how serious this girlfriend is. What they did was extremely wrong and disgusting. I'm not saying it wasn't, but if this woman is a serious partner to him or whatever, I think that she should. I think it's not a lot wanting his ex girlfriend to be a part of his son's life. Maybe not like co-parenting, but just to be a part of it. I think I'm not sure, but yeah. But I think your husband is the villain solely because he cheated on you, and it did sound like he was kind of manipulating you a little bit with Joshua, because I feel like you probably, even though you didn't say you didn't want to name, even though you didn't say you wanted to name your son Dave, I'm sure you probably just you didn't seem too keen on the name Joshua Jr. either. So, and he probably did pick up on that. I mean, you guys are married. So I think getting the tattoo and the delivery date, getting the tattoo of the name and the delivery date was a bit weird and seems a little bit manipulative, but I also could be wrong. But yeah, that's my opinion on that. Yeah, so all in all, I think I would rate your husband on a villain scale as being a number 3 out of 5 on the villain scale. And I would say that's about the same level of evilness as a politician. You know, he seems manipulative, he seems calculating. It's what it seems like. So that's what I'm saying. He is Level 3 villain, politician, uh, style. I don't know. Story 2. Am I the villain for leaving when I refuse to eat my boyfriend's mom's food? For context, I am dairy intolerant. It gives me the poops and makes me incredibly sick. So, 24-year-old female, had been dating this guy James, 27 male, for 6 months now. We live in California. He moved here for a job. I've always just lived here. Whereas his parents live in Missouri, so I've never really had a chance to properly meet them. About a week ago, James told me he was going up to Missouri for a few days to visit his parents, and I asked if I wanted and asked me if I wanted to come along and meet them, which of course I said yes to, as I naturally wanted to meet his parents in person. We arrived here yesterday, and I made it clear to James to inform his parents that I am dairy intolerant, and he reassured me that he had told them and they knew. So I assumed there was no issue there at all. So on to the issue here. His mom was in the kitchen pretty much all day yesterday preparing a meal, and I have to say it smelled amazing. I asked her what the dish was, and she told me it was a chicken korma curry. I assumed that she had substituted the dairy ingredients, i.e., yogurt and cream, with something else, so I thought nothing of it. Come time to eat, she presented me with the dish, and it looked and smelled amazing. I asked her for the confirmation if it was dairy free. She looked at me as if I was some sort of alien and asked why on earth chicken korma would be dairy free. I told her I was intolerant and she started getting extremely angry, saying that I should have told her earlier and she didn't have anything else she could make for me. James chimed in saying he did tell her about my dairy intolerance, but then turned on me saying that it wasn't that bad of an intolerance and I should just eat it. I honestly just felt like I honestly just felt really backed into a corner, so I just started crying, saying I'm sorry and I can't eat this. And then I left and booked myself into a nearby motel. James keeps calling me, saying how upset his mom and dad are, and saying how I disrespected his mom by not at least trying her meal. I feel really upset and maybe should have just eaten a few bites and sucked it up. The intolerance isn't so severe that I'd end up in hospital, but then again, I'd rather not have raging diarrhea. Also, I feel like I shouldn't just have stormed out like that. Am I the villain? And OP also provided 2 updates. So, first update is thank you all for your responses. All of you have been really nice and I appreciate the advice. A few of you mentioned that it was a bit overdramatic of me to storm out instead of trying to smooth things over, which I completely agree with. It's just for me personally, I don't do well with confrontation, and my fight or flight response tends to kick in when I'm presented with situations like this. So yeah, I do regret the way I responded, but unfortunately, I can't take it back now. So I did finally respond to my boyfriend's calls. He was extremely apologetic and came by my motel room to see if I was okay. However, as soon as he got here, he started ranting at me again about his mother and her hurt feelings. I told him to leave and I plan on getting a flight back from Missouri to California tomorrow. Unfortunately, it is a $100 flight and takes a chunk out of my budget. However, I'm feeling really uncomfy in this situation and I want to be alone. Update 2. I just wanted to edit this and clarify something. There's been a few of you telling me it was my responsibility to tell his mom, not his. The reason why I couldn't tell her myself beforehand was because I had never met her before. Therefore, I had no way of contacting her except through James. When we arrived, she was already in the kitchen cooking the meal, so I couldn't have told her before she started cooking either. There really was no way I could have done anything. I just took James's word that he had told her. Because I don't think that OP is necessarily the villain. I don't think anyone is really the villain. Okay, I mean, we have two people who are a little not that nice, but I wouldn't say villains, you know? I mean, the boyfriend, she told her boyfriend that she's lactose intolerant and to relay the message to his family to accommodate her dietary restrictions. And I'm lactose intolerant too, but I don't really care. I eat pizza, I have the milkshake, and then I deal with it later. But I do know there are people who have it way more severely than I do, and I feel like OP is one of them, probably. So he said that he did tell his mom, but he downplayed it a lot, it seems. Like, he was probably thinking that she's one of those lactose intolerant people who have the dairy anyway and just deal with the consequences. Even then, I wouldn't want to have dairy at my boyfriend's family's place, meeting them for the first time, and then 2 seconds later, just destroying their toilet. So it was a bit, yeah, it was a bit stupid of the boyfriend to just play it down like that. But even then, even so, the mom could have made something that wasn't dairy. I mean, even if she wasn't as severe as she says, I wouldn't make a dairy dish for somebody when they if they told me they were lactose intolerant, because I mean, my food is just gonna hurt you later, so I'll just make something that accommodates you. That being said, I think OP was a little dramatic, like she said, when she just stormed out. There was definitely a better way to handle that. I mean, I get some people can't handle confrontation and conflict. That's understandable, but it you're at your boyfriend's parents' place, and it's the first impressions and stuff. I don't want to make you anxious about it, but storming out like that over a dish. I mean, the mom was a little mean spirited when she looked at you as if you were an alien, asking if this is dairy free. It seems as if she was like acting as if she never knew about your dairy intolerance when the boyfriend said that he did tell her. So I don't know if she was just ignoring him or just didn't care. But yeah, I think the mom and the boyfriend on somewhere on the villain scale a little bit. OP is really just dramatic. I mean, uh, from the story alone, I don't think you're really necessarily a villain. I just think you're dramatic. But the boyfriend, on the villain scale, I would give him like a villain score of 1. Just like a dopey Disney sidekick, villain sidekick. Just like doing stupid things, you know. Like, didn't really think when he downplayed the dairy intolerance, and the mom seeing that the boyfriend says that he did tell her. I think she would get a villain score of 2. Like, the henchmen of the sidekicks, you know. They're not evil, but I mean, she just seemed like she didn't care about your intolerance at all. And yeah, that's my opinion on that. Story 3. Am I the villain for making my niece eat in the living room? My sister is a single mom who works long hours. So I watch her daughter, Eva, who is 14, female. Am I saying the name right? Is it Eva? Ava? Eva? I don't know. After school and fed her alongside my family. I am happy to do this and normally get along great with Eva. We're both bookworms. She has ARFID or ARFID, I'm not sure. and eats a very limited number of things. It's not that she has things she won't eat, more that there is a specific list of things she will eat. For the past 2 years, I've been watching her. I've balanced Eva's needs with everyone else's by modifying meals. Because I want her to be fed, but at the same time, I'm not restricting my family to the few dozen things Eva will eat. For instance, if I'm making broccoli, beef, and carrot stir fry, I'll cook the beef and carrots first, take out a serving for Eva, and then add the sauce and broccoli for the rest of us. If I'm making mango chicken, I'll bake an extra chicken breast plain for Eva. If a meal can't be adapted at all, I make one of her safe foods. This is going fine until a month ago. I baked lasagna and made extra meat sauce, so Eva got meat sauce on spaghetti and the rest of us had lasagna. But when I cut into the lasagna, Eva made a face and said it looked like a suppurating wound. Nice vocabulary word, but you're not allowed to be rude about my cooking. You don't have to eat it, but you can't be nasty about it and spoil everyone's appetite. She looked unhappy but subsided. A week later, I made dal curry. She had frozen pizza, and she said it looked like diarrhea and smelled like that, like bum. And I reiterated that being rude about my food at the table was unacceptable. This time I told my sister, who said she'd talk to her. Days later, I made chicken, broccoli, rice casserole. She had chicken and rice, and she compared it to cat vomit. I told her that if she can't be polite, she'd have to take her meal to the living room and eat it there. She went. I again told her mother. 2 days ago, I made Thai green curry for the rest of us, and a sandwich and side salad for Eva. She took a look at the curry and opened her mouth. I cut her off and asked if she was capable of being civil at the table, and she sort of shook her head. So I handed her the sandwich and pointed her to the living room. She made a face but went. Last night, I got a call from my sister saying that I'm being cruel by banishing her daughter because she has a disability. I said I wasn't banishing her because she had ARFID. I was banishing her because she was being insulting. My sister said that her daughter shouldn't have to fake it and that family shouldn't have to eat alone. I said all I was asking was for her to not say anything about our meal. My sister says I'm being insensitive to how hard it is for her to be surrounded by things she thinks are gross all the time. That I should be more accommodating, and that she's just a kid, and I should be the mature one and not bully her. Well, OP, first of all, I do not think you are the villain at all. I mean, you said your niece was 14. Even aside from her, I mean, I know that she has a disorder. I'm not really sure what ARFID is, but from what you've explained, it seems like she doesn't like or can't stand certain foods, which is fair enough. I don't know too much about it to comment about it or anything like that, but I don't think this disorder makes it so that she can't have common courtesy, or am I incorrect? And she's 14. She's not some toddler who's just saying a bunch of things and doesn't really understand the consequences. She should know that she can't just sit there and insult you while you're opening up your home to her and feeding her and taking care of her while her mother's working long hours. I mean, she's being a little bratty, and the mother who is telling you to just suck it up. No, you shouldn't have to do that because she's not. She isn't. She knows what she's doing. The 14-year-old niece. She isn't. She's 14. She's not an idiot. She must understand that she's describing your meals as these horrible things like cat vomit and festering wounds and all that. I mean, that's not gonna make you. She must know that's insulting. How would she feel if you were to say that about her food or something she would do, like something she made, and then you just stand there and insult her? I doubt she would appreciate that, and I doubt the mom would tell the daughter to just suck it up and be mature. No, she she has to learn that she can't just sit there, she can't just say whatever she wants and get away with it. What kind of an adult is she gonna grow up to be if she can just do whatever she wants? She needs to be disciplined. She needs to understand that she can't just treat people or say things to people whenever she feels like it. She needs to understand that people have feelings too, and it seems like she doesn't. And I partly blame her, I partly blame her mother, because it seems like her mother just lets her get away with a lot of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think your niece is the villain in the story, and I think I would give her a rating of maybe of 2 out of 5. The villain henchman score. She she's a little cruel, a little mean. She's not super evil. She's not manipulative and cunning. I don't know. I don't think so. From the story, it just seems like she's a bratty kid that needs to be disciplined a bit. And as for the mother, I think I would give her a rating of 1 out of 5 on the villain score. She would be a villain sidekick, just underneath the henchman, because it really does seem that this your niece walks all over her mother. I obviously don't know this for sure, but from what you said and what she's like, it seems like she just lacks respect, and I feel like her mom just lets her get away with a lot of stuff because her mom works a lot of hours and she doesn't get to spend a lot of time with her daughter. So I feel like she probably does feel a little guilty, and she probably lets her daughter get away with a lot of stuff, and that has created a little brat. So yeah, I think the mom does get a little bit of a villain score there, 1 out of 5. Okay, and that is it for the video. If you have any stories you'd like to share with me, you can put them in the comments. I mean, I know right now no one's really watching my videos, but if somebody does and they're like, oh wow, I have an interesting story, you can put it in the comments. I'll read it. I'll make sure to read it in the next video if I am to continue doing this. And yeah, if you did like the video, I would appreciate it if you hit the like button and maybe subscribed. You don't have to. Just I would appreciate it though. Yeah, thank you. Bye.